Good morning, Black America. This is another video from the BuyGE YouTube channel. I've been away for a while. I'm back. And I got some interesting subject to discuss with you today. But first, I want to go over the BuyGE plan briefly. The plan is for Black America to buy GE, General Electric, yeah. Ambitious deal? Yeah, pretty much is. Nothing in history that's ever happened hasn't started as an ambitious plan. But if we purchase GE, it's going to create jobs for us. And we'll get to make a little money along the way. How it works is every black man and woman in America, adult that is, will have to buy 100 shares of General Electric stock. GE stock is currently trading for about $10. That'll be a $1,000 investment. That will not be an investment that you have to make all at one time. If you got $1,000, buy your 100 shares. If you only got $100, buy 10 shares. If you don't even have access to $100, you can start the plan with a $10 investment to pick up one share. What you'll be doing is you'll be opening up a stock investment account. Every payday, you'll take 10% of your money and you'll send it over to that stock investment account. And in that stock investment account, you'll pick up shares of GE stock. I understand it's not going to happen overnight. Everybody is not going to be able to just go ahead and jump both feet in on this program. But we all need to join this program. It's the only way that we can make it happen. And we can definitely start making a change for the black condition here in America for the better. Now today I wanted to talk about ADOS. ADOS has a few things missing. There's a few missing pieces to the plan. It's a hell of a plan, but there are a few pieces missing. I was looking at one of Yvette's videos, and I made the mistake. I made the serious mistake of commenting on one of them. I just asked a simple question. What's the plan? I mean, if we receive the money, what's the plan? How are we going to help black people by receiving reparations? I got attacked. I got attacked by black folks. Most black folks who replied to my comment. I mean, I don't think it was an unusual question or unusual concern. I mean, most people plan vacation. They plan to take a trip. You know, if you got a day off, you have a plan. What you plan on doing during that day off? There are many people who plan what they're going to have for lunch. You have a plan. Well, this reparations check is probably the most important check black folks are ever going to receive in their lives. What's the plan? I got responses like, stop watching my pockets, nigga. Oh, excuse the French. There were many of them that replied with that. Stop watching my pockets. Get your eyes off my pockets. There was one woman who said, I'm going to start a black business with my money. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, okay. Well, I check out those Tone Talk videos a lot as well. And one of Tone Talk's points is 98% of black businesses can't even hire one employee. Not a single employee. Those are not successful businesses if you're not growing to the point where you can take on employees. One of my favorite shows on TV is Shark Tank. And one of the things Mr. Wonderful says all the time on Shark Tank is, if you got a business that's struggling growing, it's not a business. It's a hobby. So 98% of black businesses are actually hobbies. It's not a business. It's not a business if you're making candles in your basement and you can't hire anybody to help you. That's a hobby. It's not a business. One of the other things that somebody struck me with was ADOS has a plan. It's on their website. Have you been to their website? No. No, I haven't been to the website. So I went to the website to check it out. It's a well thought out plan. It's a well thought out plan. You know, I'm checking out the website and the things that they were wanting and looking for and the things that the black community needed. It was all there. It was beautiful. I was all in. You know, I was almost to the point where I was ready to start donating money. But then I hit this one particular paragraph that gave me pause. I just stopped dead in my tracks. ADOS asked 3 questions. 3. They didn't have an answer to it. And the way they posed the question, I think what they were doing was looking for an answer from us other ADOS members. I hope they were not going to go to the government and ask the government to figure out these questions for them. The 3 questions were, who are going to be the ADOS members? The ADOS plan has no idea. Second question was, how much? You know, it gave a round figure. Somewhere, what the website said is somewhere between $5 and $10 trillion. I've seen other ADOS videos that said as much as 15 trillion. But it's not really etched in stone. We don't really know what we want or what we're asking for. And the third question was, what is the plan to help the black community if we receive reparations? They have no idea. And they posed these 3 questions to the community, to all of us. I think I may have an answer. So I would take a stab at it. Because you really can't go to the government without being able to answer these 3 questions. These are the most critical questions to the ADOS plan. Who's going to get it? How much you want? What you're going to do with it when you get it? And those are just pretty standard questions for anyone whenever you ask someone for money. Who wants the money? Who needs the money? How much do you want? What you going to do with my money if I give it to you? Those are pretty standard questions somebody is going to ask you if you're asking them for money. So let's take a stab at it. The government did something pretty interesting. About 10 years ago. They put an asset on their books that was worth $5 trillion. They didn't pay for it. It didn't cost them a thing. They actually took it based on a lie. Fannie and Freddie. They took over Fannie and Freddie because Fannie and Freddie were used to blame the housing bubble on. Fannie and Freddie didn't cause the housing bubble. It was actually the Fed that caused the housing bubbles with their low interest rate. Low interest rates inflate the stock market. It also inflates the housing market. They kept the interest rates too low, which is what inflated the bubble. And it was the Fed's job to do something about it when the bubble inflated. They were supposed to see it coming and raise the interest rates to deflate the bubble. The Fed sat back and let it happen. Now, the Fed didn't want to take responsibility for what they did, for their complete and total failure at one of the only jobs they have. So they blamed Fannie and Freddie. So most of our congressmen and senators believed what the Fed said, because the Fed, those guys are supposed to be the smartest guys in the room. So they just blindly believed them and they pointed the finger at Fannie and Freddie. Because I truly believe most of these congressmen and senators, they either lied or they're continuing the lie that the Fed is putting out about Fannie and Freddie, or they just don't know how the housing market goes. And more than likely, the majority of our congressmen and senators don't know. They don't know any better. They have to take the word of the smartest guys in the room who happen to be the Fed. And one of the other things the government complained about as far as Fannie and Freddie, they didn't want to be on the hook in the event that Fannie and Freddie ever got into financial problems. It would be expected that the government would bail them out. Even though Fannie and Freddie have never had any financial problems and needed a bailout before the entire housing market crashed. The entire housing market crashed. There's nothing Fannie and Freddie could have did about that. And every company who was even remotely related to housing was in trouble and needed help. But the government used that as an excuse, or rather better yet, as justification for taking them over. They took them over because Fannie and Freddie are too big to fail. It doesn't matter whether they're government entities or private. Fannie and Freddie are just too big to fail. The government's going to bail them out if they ever need help again. Period. Fannie and Freddie make the housing market, and the government will never let the housing market fail again. The government is on the hook for Fannie and Freddie because they are just huge. And our economy would not survive if Fannie and Freddie were ever allowed to fail. But Fannie and Freddie, needless to say, are on the books. They're on the books. Didn't cost the government 1 red cent. Government can do whatever they want with it. Now, another issue with ADOS, with reparations that I found is, you're asking the government for money. You're asking the government for $5 trillion. This government's broke. This government is actually $22 trillion in debt. This government can't even survive within its own budget. You know, pretty much the government, look at it this way. The government makes $1,000 a month, but it has $1,100 worth of bills that it has to pay. So it's short $100 a month. So you know what it has to do? It has to borrow that $100 so it can pay its bills, because its bills have to be paid, because we don't want to mess with the credit rating. Can't do that. So this government can't even survive within its current budget without borrowing money. And we're asking them to borrow an additional $10 trillion on top of that. And the truth of the matter is, the government is over budget because it can only make interest payments on the money that is already borrowed. So pretty much the government is on the payday loan treadmill. Every month the government goes to the payday loan people and give them their whole check and then borrows back some more money. That's our government. That's what they're doing every month. Every single month, they're getting payday loans. Now, you want somebody that's already on the payday loan treadmill to give us $10 trillion. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do it. I wouldn't go into further debt for you. I wouldn't go into further debt for myself. Why would the government do that? That's just crazy. So we need to stop expecting a cash payout. It's not going to happen. But the government does have Fannie and Freddie, which is worth $5 trillion, which is on the low end of what we were expecting for reparations. But it's in the range, $5 trillion. It's on the books. It's free. They can just give it to us and not have to go into no more debt. And there'll be no repercussions. There'll be nobody in America that can complain about it. It won't be one of them situations how you rob from the rich to give to the poor, because the government already robbed from the rich 10 years ago. Those people have already losing their asset. So it's nobody really to complain about Fannie and Freddie being given to us African Americans, us ADOS members. It's really no one to complain about it. And the few that do complain, well, you got to ask them the question: what would you rather do? Give them an asset that we have, or go into more debt, which is stupid. So I think, ADOS wise, we shouldn't be asking them for money. We should ask them for Fannie and Freddie. What they can do is divide the shares for that company up and give every member of ADOS an equal share. Now, the way I'm looking at it, I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing. I'm just imagining that out of the 43 million African Americans here in the country, about half of them are ADOS. So that's going to put us right around $20 million. Fannie and Freddie make 54 billion, billion dollars a year profit. All the ADOS members will receive a cut of that 54 billion. When you have stocks, it's officially called a dividend, but for us laymen, it's profit sharing. When Fannie makes profits, they share it with the owners. And if it's 20 million people, roughly, ADOS members here in America, that's going to work out to be an annual payout of $3,000. Ain't very much money. I understand. It's not a lot of money. But it can be very impactful based on how we use it and what we do with it. $3,000 for the rest of your life. $3,000 that you could pass down to your kids and your kids' kids for the end of time. $3,000. Now, there's a few things that you can do with it. Since it's a stock trading account, you could do one of three things with it. You can set it up in a regular trading account, and as that money comes in, you can spend it like you see fit. $3,000, what would that work out to be? A cruise, maybe a vacation to Vegas, maybe a used car. That's what it works out to be. Or you could put it in an IRA and set it up for your retirement. Now here's where it gets interesting. $3,000 a year in an IRA over a 30-year period. That's a long time, I understand. But $3,000 investment in an IRA over 30 years, when you're ready to retire, you'll have a $500,000 nest egg. Easily. I think a $500,000 will blow a hole in that wealth gap. And for this to take place, all you have to do is nothing. Absolutely nothing. You set the account up into your IRA and you let it sit. Don't touch it. Let that money work for you. And that money is working for you. When you're cutting your grass, that money is working for you. When you're laying in bed, sleep, that money is working for you. When you're driving to work, that money is working to you. It's about time we started putting our money to work instead of working for our money. Third option, you can put it into a school fund, a college fund for your kid. Say you just had a baby. Baby's 1 year old, 6 months old, whatever. And you just know my baby gonna go to college. This the smartest baby on the face of this planet. My baby going to college. Put that money, that $3,000 in a college fund. And for the 18 years while your child grows up, when they are ready for college, you have somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. That won't pay for an Ivy League school. In no way will it. It will pay for a state college. And no one will have to come out the pocket. Your baby gets their education. Those are the three options I see for the money. But the choice is yours. You can either put it towards your future or you can spend it now. Choice is yours. This is my idea. This is my plan. This will take care of the questions 2 and 3, as far as how much and what's the plan. What are we going to do if we get the money? The whole Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac plan takes care of both those questions. The first question: who's going to be eligible for ADOS? I don't know. We can't really go to the government unless we know the answer to these questions. How in the hell are we going to go to the government and ask them for $10 trillion and we don't have answers to the most critical questions? We go to the government, we want $10 trillion in reparations. Well, who's going to get it? Well, how much do you want? If we give you $10 trillion, what you going to do with the money to help yourselves? How you going to help yourselves? You can't go to the federal government with you can't. It's ridiculous. What are you thinking? You got to be able to answer every single question the government can come up with like the snap of the fingers. Bam! I got an answer. Bam! I got an answer for everything. And you can't, it's no excuse to not be able to answer the question, because we've been asking for reparations for 800 years. We should know. It should have at least came up in some conversation at some time over the last 800 years. 50,000 conversations we've had. Somebody should have figured it out already. But as far as who is eligible for ADOS, I'm going to just keep it real. I think we should keep the bloodline pure for ADOS. If you want to be an ADOS member, you got to have a pure bloodline. If your mother is ADOS and your father is ADOS, you're ADOS. Blood is pure. If you mixed, you ain't ADOS. If a mother or a father is an immigrant, you ain't ADOS. You just not. And I don't think we should have to be put in a position where we got to figure out who. Well, you half ADOS and you a third ADOS, so we going to give you a third of this, and then we going to give you a 25th of this. We ain't going through all that. Keep the bloodline pure. Now, as far as figuring out exactly who is who, I think Yvette and Tony should take this ADOS movement and convert it into a nonprofit. And I think the government should give them funding. Should give them maybe $20 or $30 million a year for at least the first couple of years, so they can figure out who exactly is ADOS and who is not. I think it's us that should decide who's ADOS. I don't think we should leave that up to the government. I think we should go to the government with specific instructions on what they need to do exactly. Leave nothing for them to figure out. Leave nothing up to their opinion. This is what we want. This is how we're going to do it. This is who's going to get it. Government, this is how it's going down. Well, that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. Something to consider. It's an option. If you got a better idea, let me know. YouTubers, I need you to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting out additional videos with updates and additional information about the BuyGE plan. You need to subscribe to the channel. Also, let me get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm interested in how you feel. I'm not one of those black folks that's going to be mad at you if you don't agree with me. And I'm interested in if you're not, I'm interested in your opinion. Maybe it's a conversation that we really need to have. We can have it. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is the BuyGE plan. Checking out once again.